Well, hey y'all, today we are going to make some manicotti my way. It's going to be so good. Now this is venison, but you can use your favorite ground beef, ground turkey, whatever it is you like to use, you use that. But I'm using up some of this venison in the freezer, so this is going to be delicious. I have about a pound, and I have it in my big old skillet here, and it is cooked down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 2 cloves of fresh garlic, and you can use garlic powder, excuse me, a couple teaspoons if you want to, but I'm going to use just some fresh minced garlic. And because this is venison and there is no grease or oil or anything in this, I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of just some avocado oil. You could use your favorite oil if you wanted to. And then we're just going to put our little garlic right there in the middle. I made a well in the middle of this deer meat to put the oil and the garlic down in the middle of it, so I don't have to get another pan dirty, because looky here, I got everything in the kitchen put near out to make this. So I'm just going to let this sit here for just a little bit. Now, I didn't get out my jar of spaghetti sauce, and I'll get that out here in a minute and show you what my favorite go-to store-bought is, but I have one left, and that is my emergency supply. And so I had all of these other pantry staples, and we'll do that probably on one of those Tuesdays when we're doing other things. We'll talk about pantry staples and how to stock your pantry. I have a 15-ounce can of this is a no salt added tomato sauce, and I'm just going to put this right in here. I was going to show y'all the envelope, because you know in the kitchen we just grab something to write on, don't we? Whenever I was trying to figure out how much of this, that, and the other thing my husband and I liked in our spaghetti sauce, and it's up there behind where y'all are standing right now. If you turned your head, you would see where the cookbooks are. And so that's where that is, and I can't get to it. I'm going to turn this down on the low because everything in here is basically cooked. Now, if I did have another can of tomato sauce, that is what I would use, but this is the last one, so I'm going to put this on my grocery list. But I always do keep V8 around, and it's a great little thing because water tastes like water, which is great if you're thirsty and you've been mowing the yard. But when you're cooking, I like a little bit more flavor, and I can use this to loosen that up to the consistency that I want to use in this manicotti. Okay, add some more here. Okay, now the manicotti I'm going to use today is by Jovial, and this is gluten-free, and it is very good. And my husband, who is so lucky, y'all, he can eat anything, and he likes their products, and so that's a vote of confidence for me right there. Okay, now let me tell you what I'm going to put in my homemade tomato sauce. I've already got my tomato sauce, but my spaghetti sauce. Got my tomato sauce, I've got my garlic. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of dried parsley. And Italian seasoning, I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoons. And onion powder, I'm going to use 1 teaspoon. And then I have 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, just white sugar. And this will calm down all those sharp tomato flavors. And salt, I'm going to use 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And I'm going to use some basil, which is still in the refrigerator. I love these squeeze tube herbs, y'all. They are just so handy. So I'm going to use, and y'all swear I could eat this whole thing with a spoon. I just love this stuff. I'm going to use 1.5 teaspoons, give or take, of some of this basil. Oh, that looks pretty good. Now I'll let this set and simmer and kind of where everybody gets to know each other, and then I'll take a taste of this and then we'll adjust it. But I'm going to add some more of this tomato sauce to it. Okay, I'm just going to let this sit here and do its thing. I'm not even going to get a taste of it yet because it won't be what it's going to be whenever it gets ready to go on top and in this. So I have 1 egg, and my apologies to all of my people of Italian descent. My people came from Wales and Ireland, and my husband's people came from Germany. So we don't have a lick of Italian between the two of us. But this is just my way of doing this. Now I have about a half a container. This is about 2.5 ounces of just some Parmesan. And if you like the other kind in the can, what's that brand? Can't remember. Anyway, it's got that green lid that sprinkles out. Use that. Now this is a whole container of ricotta, and I'm going to use this whole entire thing. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to mix this up. And because we want every layer of this to have flavor, I'm going to add some Italian seasoning to this. Now, whenever I do lasagna, let's see, that's about half teaspoon or so. When I do lasagna, I do this exact same thing, but I also add some grated mozzarella. But on this, I'm going to add the mozzarella to the top when I take the, let's see, I don't think I put any garlic in there. I'm going to put a little bit of salt. Whenever I take the lid off, the tinfoil off, I'll add some shredded. That's just about a dash of salt. That'll be just right. Okay. There we go. Now, let's see. Let's just get us a little bit of this and see what we think. And I'm going to burn my mouth. Let's see what we think. I think it needs a little bit more Italian seasoning. So I'm just going to eyeball this and about a half a teaspoon. And there's some in this too as well. So they will balance themselves out nicely. Now this manicotti, you cook it for 4 minutes in boiling water, and then you remove it with a slotted spoon. And that's what I did. And I put it on just, this is wax paper here. And I did spray it a little bit with some cooking spray so it wouldn't be so sticky gummy. And I have my lasagna dish. And you can use a 9x13 or whatever you like. You could do this in portioned. You could do half in one thing that is freezer safe and half in something else that you can eat now. You can put this in the freezer. It'd be a great thing to take to a family that's just got out of the hospital or going through the grieving process. And food always makes you happy, doesn't it? Okay. Now, let's see here. Let's get myself together. I have my bag, my piping bag, and you can use Ziploc if you like. Somehow or other, whenever I bought Ziploc the last time, I bought the ones that will stand on their own with a pleated bottom. So I decided that was going to be a no-go. So I got my pastry bag out here, and that's going to be just fine. Let's see if I can get all of this in here. I bet we can. Let's just get the rest of this in here, then I'll move this bowl out of our way because it's taking up valuable real estate. Okay, y'all, let's get one last bite of this just to make sure before we get to getting that it is right. So let's see what we think. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, hang on a minute. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a ladle and just put some of this in the bottom. Doesn't have to be thick, just going to be spread it around, sort of kind of evenly. Okay, now you cut the end off of this. And with your clean hands, I'm just going to there we go, pop that in, lay that down. I could tell it was getting full because I had it flat on my hand. And I could tell when it was getting full. Now, a couple of these did split, and that is not a problem. I'm just going to put that split side down. Okay, now let's put him right in there. Now let's kind of straighten these up a little bit so they'll be prettier. Alrighty. There we go. Okay, now, I'll be right back. I'm going to wash my hands. Alrighty. Now, let's top this with the rest of our delicious sauce here. Okay, let's pick this whole thing up right here. Let's get the rest of this in here. I tell you what, whenever I cannot come up with another thing that I want to put on the table, all I've got to do is come up with something with some spaghetti sauce in it. Manicotti, lasagna, regular spaghetti. And he's a happy man. His favorite thing. Okay, so I'm going to cover these. Sort of, kind of. I'm going to cover this up with tin foil. And I have my oven heated to 375. And I'm going to cook it for 45 minutes covered up. Then I'm going to uncover it and I'm going to add some shredded mozzarella. And then I'll put it back in for about 10 or 15 minutes until this melts. So I'll see y'all back when this comes out of the oven in 45 minutes. Okay, y'all. It was in there 45 minutes. Buzzer goes off. So we're going to take off our tin foil. Watch out for that facial because it's hot. So I have grated a whole 8-ounce container of mozzarella cheese. I don't know how much of this I'm going to use on here. I'm just going to sprinkle until I hear the angels sing, and that'll be exactly how much mozzarella to put. Well, it appears that we're going to use the entire thing. Absolutely. So, get that on there. Okay. Back in the oven it goes for 15 minutes. And then we'll get back together when this is out and cool enough to get a bite so it doesn't burn our tongue. So, I'll see y'all back here in just a little bit. Okay, y'all, it was in there about 15 minutes. And it was bubbly around the edges. It just looks so good. So we're just going to get us one out right now. And we're going to get us a bite. Oh, boy. It came out all in one piece. Woohoo. It's always so exciting when you cut a piece of cake or a pie and it comes out like it's supposed to, doesn't it? Absolutely. Oh, y'all. Oh, that's going to be so good. Okay. Here's the moral of this story, sort of kind of, other than we got something good to eat on now. Don't be afraid to play in the kitchen. This is my favorite not canned, but bottled spaghetti sauce, and it's an organic KDO roasted garlic, and it is gluten-free. And this is great for emergencies, but I like to, use up the things I have in my pantry, and everything that is in here was in my pantry, other than the dairy products. See, I found that envelope up there in that mess. But anyway, and you just, I can see where I marked out 1 teaspoon of this and added 2 and tasted it as I went. So there we go. Let's see if I have waited long enough to see if this is going to be hot as the face of the sun. He has come in, so I know he is smelling this, and it smells so good, y'all. This house smells wonderful. Now, if my mother was making this, she would not have added garlic because she didn't care for garlic. I love garlic. So, that's why it's good to play with things, and then you can see how you like it. So, let's see how this is. No, that's perfect. There is not a thing I would do differently than this, other than get a bigger portion. And that's what we're going to do when we get ready to sit down at the table. I'll get him, he's got some garlic bread and some other things I've mixed up in there. So, anyway, that's enough of that. I'll see y'all next time. And y'all go do something fun and make yourself something yummy to eat too. So, bye y'all.